The 2024 F1 season is over, and what a season it has been. Max Verstappen is world champion for the fourth time, and McLaren could win the Constructors' Championship for the first time since 1998. Some might say it was the best season ever. After years of Red Bull and Mercedes dominance, we had 4 different cars and 7 different drivers winning races, and 24 drivers in total. We had 3 emotional wins with Hamilton in Silverstone, Leclerc in Monaco and Sainz in Mexico. And of course, lots of drama around with the rejection of Andretti, trouble between drivers, FIA and within teams, so it was never boring. So let's go through this team by team. We could see a dominant start by Red Bull, who won 4 of the first 5 races with both drivers on the podium. But then we could see a decline, especially with Perez. And that is Red Bull's general problem. Despite their internal troubles and good people leaving the team, they have Max Verstappen in the car. A very talented driver who leads the development in a certain direction, and who can still be quick even if the car isn't perfect. So for the engineers, it's hard to work out what the problem of the car really is and how to fix it. You see the real performance of the car at the other garage. Perez is not a bad driver, and his predecessors Albon and Gasly are neither. In fact, they are outstanding and team leaders in other teams, but driving a Red Bull next to Max Verstappen is hard for everyone. So if the team concentrates on Verstappen, the second driver falls behind, and they are effectively a one-man team, so the team falls behind in the Constructors' Championship. And if they concentrate on the second driver, Team Verstappen might not be happy and could go somewhere else. So if we look at the performance of Verstappen and Perez, you can see that until race 5 they were not too far apart. But then problems started and the car wasn't easy to drive anymore. Perez's graph is almost flat until the end of the season. And this is also what we see very often with number 2 drivers, who start the new season with lots of confidence, but after a few races fall behind for the rest of the year. It's a big mental challenge for them. One big problem of current cars and huge advantage for the show is that these ground effect cars hit something like a peak in floor performance. That means that if teams develop too much downforce with the floor, there's a high risk to reintroduce bouncing. Also, cars can get more peaky and harder to drive. And literally every single Formula 1 team had this problem this year. Everyone except McLaren. So why is that? I was working at McLaren in 2017, their absolute low point with ditching Honda and switching to Renault engines and chocolate frogs. Since then, they made lots of right decisions and, for example, convinced their shareholders to build a new modern wind tunnel instead of using Toyota's old one in Cologne. Today, McLaren is the only team where every update worked on track. Their Miami update transformed the car and they were suddenly quick everywhere. And why? Because they didn't overdo it with the floor. They kept the floor simple and easy to handle and concentrated on updating everything else. And they have 2 very capable drivers who are not far apart, so they are both scoring. Red Bull, Ferrari, Mercedes updated their floors and suddenly introduced lots of problems, so they needed a couple of races to go back to old specifications. Still, Ferrari showed some impressive performance, especially with their race pace, and the sheer fact that Ferrari can fight for the championship is a very good sign and shows that things are on the right track. Mercedes built a car with a suitable concept for these regulations for the first time, since the new regulations were introduced in 2022. They were much more competitive, but often the car was hard to drive, which cost them places. Aston Martin finished the season on a lonely 5th place, and unfortunately they are currently the opposite of McLaren. None of the updates worked on track, and even now at the end of the season they are still driving with race 4 specs because everything else didn't work better. Everything is changing at Aston Martin with their new headquarters, but hopefully they will sort out their tools soon to understand their car better. After all the trouble in 2023, Alpine was the worst car at the beginning of the season. They were overweight and could just barely finish the car in time. Additionally, there was some internal restructuring and fights between their drivers. After the first issues were sorted, they could occasionally score points, and their update in the second half of the season really helped them to improve. Very important was their performance in Bahrain and Brazil, where they could score 35 points in a single weekend. That pushed them up to the 6th place in the Constructors' Championship, which also means lots of money. Haas is another team which, under the leadership of an engineer, performs very well. They were constantly scoring points because they focused on their race performance and tire wear. That helped them massively, and good performance of both drivers helped them to a solid result. Racing Bulls were strong at the beginning of the season, but in the middle of the year their performance dropped the same way as the big teams struggled. In the end they were overtaken by Haas and Alpine to finish 8th. Williams has big plans for the future, but their car wasn't as competitive as they hoped for, and they only scored with one car first. Colapinto showed good results first, but created expensive crash later, which avoided better results and created lots of costs. And Sauber couldn't really keep up at first, and only at the end of the season started to understand their car, which is a good sign for next year. With Hülkenberg in the car, they might be able to develop the concept further. And we have a number of drivers which we won't see in F1 next year. Guanyu Zhou, who impressed his engineers in the first year so much that they kept him instead of taking Mick Schumacher. It was also him who survived a rollover crash with a disappearing roll bar, which caused new roll bar regulations. And he scored the only points for Sauber this year, which is important for the morale of this team. And Valtteri Bottas, the quick Finn who impressed at Williams and was promoted to Mercedes, being managed by Toto Wolff, after Rosberg suddenly retired instead of putting Russell in the seat. He was the perfect second driver, who always scored good points and won races if Hamilton couldn't. And just like Paris now, he started every year with confidence. Remember Bottas 2.0? Until he finally had to make space for Russell. And now we have Australian Bottas, who unfortunately is the only driver this year who drove the whole season and didn't score a single point. Then there is Perez, who still has a contract but will most likely be paid out, so he will get his money but won't drive in F1 because all seats are gone now. He started as a young high potential at Sauber, even reaching podiums, came to McLaren in their difficult 2013 season and then joined Force India, where he developed to an experienced driver with very low tire consumption. Because of that, he was interesting for Red Bull after the 2020 season, where he didn't have a seat for the next year yet. And now he had some challenging years at Red Bull. And Kevin Magnussen, the fighting Viking who came to McLaren in 2014, had a stop at Renault in their first year as a works team again, and since raced for Haas with a 1-year break in 2021. And now he will join the BMW works team in their hypercar. So for next year we can expect an interesting F1 season with multiple contenders for the win, new drivers, and this might become a great season again. We have to cherish these moments because 2026 might be a very different story. So what do you think? How do you like the 2024 F1 season? Let me know in the comments below, and if you want to work in F1 as well, check out my online courses with the links below which prepare you for a career in F1, or contact me directly. See you at the next video.